especially in times like these.
That looks bad.
Okay. How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I literally just watched Die Alone this morning, and I really loved it. I love these type of movies, but I don't think anything. I think this has one of the best endings of a movie I've ever seen in a long time. So great job altogether.
Thank you. I love hearing that. Thank you.
So my first question is for Lowell. What inspired you to do this film? What was the inspiration behind the script and directing?
This was just a love letter to Saskatchewan. I love zombie films, so I wanted to take a crack at doing something unique in that genre that I love that hopefully could stand apart. And I mean, the big thing though is this movie is just about the question of how far would you go for people you love, and it was fun to try to really hone that script over years and tell a story that I think hopefully resonates.
That's awesome. And Douglas, what was your inspiration behind your lead role in the film?
I think it was driven by the purpose that Ethan has, like, very clearly mapped out in the story. It's to find Emma, find Emma, and that was just it was a great rope to follow, and and then it's that kind of classic story where then obstacles and people and helpers come into your path. So that was kind of the main drive. Are we looking for Emma? How should we be looking for Emma more? Are we spending too much time with May, like playing piano and playing cards? And that was a nice thing to remember, because sometimes you can get lost in these other interactions, which was also interesting. But that was the sort of the main pull.
Yeah, what I really liked was your chemistry with Carrie-Anne Moss, because as you mentioned, you guys are going on this adventure. You're trying to find your girlfriend. She's like this badass survivalist. But I like the fact that she brings in she'll bring in a little bit of teensy bits of nuances of like comic relief now and again. Like, for instance, in the scene where this little zombie was like covered in like cobwebs, and you're like, who is that? And she's just like nonchalant, that's just so-and-so.
Myrtle.
And, yeah. And it's just, I just felt like, and that really helped like kind of mellow things out despite like the serious storyline. So Douglas, what was it like working with Carrie on as your partner in crime on this?
It was great. We had the pleasure of working together 2 other times before this, but on small, she came in on 3 days and 3 days on 2 different movies. And so we knew each other. I bumped into her like once at an ADR studio in Paramount. She was doing ADR for one of those Netflix superhero shows, and I was doing it for When We Rise, the gay rights miniseries. So I was just like, hey, we just had like a very kind of nice, friendly, relationship. But we'd never done a movie where we were in the whole movie together. We never really built an arc and a relationship and a dynamic of this scale before. It was, she was my psychologist in like a movie where we did like 3 days of like psychologist on the couch stuff, and then another one she was a cop interrogating me in a horror film, and it was great. But this was like way more nuanced, and I felt like I learned so much more about her. We just spent so much more time together. So at her house, like that she was staying at while we filmed, and she cooked for me. She made me tinctures, like sometimes, she was just really giving and really warm and really cared a lot about the project. You can really tell, the biggest thing that you could tell was she didn't work the first few days, and she just like was on set, and our set was not easy to locate. She came to our rural house like while we were filming scenes that she wasn't even in, because she was that interested in the story and that like committed. You could tell it really meant a lot to her, and that's the best thing. It's the best when people buy in and they really care. It just creates a whole different atmosphere.
That's awesome. The next question's for Lowell. As Douglas mentioned, there were times when they couldn't find the set. Where did you shoot the film in terms of like its location? I know you mentioned Saskatchewan, but was there like a specific area of Saskatchewan that you shot at that really enhanced like the film as a whole.
Yeah, this movie, it's meant to be a post-apocalypse, so it really has to be the middle of nowhere. And there is a cliche that Saskatchewan is, the middle of nowhere already, but we do have cities here and towns. So we shot little bits and pieces, like flashback scenes in those cities. But the majority of our film takes place in this house that is literally in the middle of nowhere, like 360 in a valley, you can't see anything. That was out at Katepwa, Saskatchewan. And we were looking for a house that people would let us shoot in. And we needed to do a lot to this house. And unfortunately, it was during farming season, and no farmer was like, yeah, come and take my house and destroy it and paint it and knock down a wall and do all these things. So we found a shell of a house that actually used to be for an old movie set called The Messengers, which is something that shot there literally 15, 20 years ago. I think it was a ghost house film. And it was just a shell. And our art department, led by Adrian Truquer, literally gutted the house, ripped it apart, and built a complete brand new interior for the house in like less than a month. It was insane.
That's awesome. So the next question is for both of you, because this is an actor who's starting to appear in so much stuff lately. He's got a bit of a cameo in this film. And I'll talk about Frank Grillo. He was, I don't any film that he's in, I feel, even though the film might be like not great as a whole, he tends to enhance that film. In this case, he did a phenomenal job. And this is already a good film as it was going. But to have him in this one scene really amped things up. What was it like from both of you guys working with Frank on this?
For me, it was great. I mean, I almost did another movie with Frank Grillo, so I had a little bit of a relationship with him. So when this film was in the final stages of casting and we really needed a ringer to come in and play the Kai role, we knew we needed someone with kind of like a big, intimidating presence. And Frank, I knew he would knock it out of the park, but he did so. He exceeded my expectations, honestly. Like he came in and he had like that weight, and he was also a family man, and he's someone who I think you have a bit of a impression of the kind of character Frank may be, and it was fun subverting that a bit. I know he and I both got excited about having a character who wasn't good guy or bad guy. That's my answer.
Okay. How about you, Douglas?
Yeah, I was really impressed with. He came in for 3 days, but he just arrived fully formed with this really strong point of view of who the character was, and it was really made it really easy to receive that energy and then use it for my own performance, especially at that point in the movie, because I don't know, a more passive take on that character. I don't think it would have worked as well, because he has to like give these sort of the way he views the world speeches, and you have to kind of believe that he's so into the sound of his own voice that he maybe is not noticing like what's going on to the listeners on the couch. Of course he is, but I don't know. I don't want to give more than that away, but I thought he was perfect for the film, and a really nice guy, a really like intense work ethic kind of guy.
Awesome. So how long did shooting take? And aside from trying to get a location for the house, were there any other difficulties that you faced during production?
Oh, this movie was all difficulties. It was leading up to getting it made. It took almost a decade. However, once we actually were there, it shifted and became, to me, maybe the easiest project I've ever had, because when you spend 10 years trying to get something made, it's in your bones. I wasn't walking around with indifference or uncertainty. I feel like I knew in every moment what I had to do. It was just, how do I do it, right? So I would say like we shot in 20 production days and then a few pickup days after, so more like 24 days total, 25 maybe. But I would say for me, the challenge was just bringing it to production.
That's awesome. So what's next for the two of you after this film is out? Is there anything that you can talk about in terms of upcoming projects?
Yeah, we're doing Die Alone 2. It's already in the no.
Die together. Yeah.
That would be cool. Although I hope it doesn't take a decade again.
Hey, you know what? If the people demand it, I'm sure we could
We'll
work it out.
Godfather to it. We'll do before and after.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
There you go. For me, it's just pushing Die Alone, and I've got another film called Dark Match that's coming out a few months later. But it's all about Die Alone for me right now.
That's awesome. Douglas, do you have anything upcoming that you can talk about?
Well, I got, I did Horizon, an American Saga, Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. And the Chapter 1 came out this summer, and Chapter 2 played at Venice Film Festival in September, and it'll come out soon. It's not dated yet, but it will be out soon. So I would say that's the other thing, other than Die Alone, that I'm excited about that's going to be coming out.
That's awesome. Well, everyone, check out Die Alone on October 18th. This is a great post-apocalyptic film. It has drama, it has action, and I'm going to tell you guys, it has one of the best jaw-dropping endings that I was not expecting, and you definitely will have to see this one. Lowell and Douglas, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about it.
You're welcome.
Thanks,
All right.
Albert. Thank you.
You guys stay awesome.